Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fortunate Creations. I'm Kim, and this is a channel where we talk about everything to do with crafting. So, from amigurumi to weaving and anything in between. If you like crafting and being creative, stick around. I think you're going to like it here. I recently started a project with my subscribers asking them to send in their crafting journey. How did they get where they are? Why do they like crafting? Why do they knit or crochet or cross stitch or whatever they do? How did they get there? Who or what sparked their interest in it? And I've been getting quite a few stories, so I've been putting them in this journal, and I'd like to share them with you. I've got 5 of them so far, including my own, and I'd like to read them to you. If you want to join me, that'd be great. Sit back, relax, and start thinking about how you got to loving and being creative, loving crafting, and why do you knit? Why do you crochet? Why do you have so much yarn? Or whatever your crafting passion is, how did you get there? Was it something you saw at a county fair? Was it something your grandmother taught you? Was it something your best friend did? So let me share mine with you. And then I'm going to share the others that I have right now. I'm not going to give you the names of my subscribers that gave them to me just yet because I haven't cleared that with them. But once I get everybody, and I'm hoping to get a lot more because I would like to fill this and give it a title and maybe even, publish it and send it out to everybody as a gift on my station. So here we go. I am going to give it a title. I just haven't come up with the title yet. But right now I just have crafting stories. So I asked everyone to tell me about their journey. How'd you get where you are? So here's mine. I am the youngest of 6 children. My family owned a farm on 127 acres out in the middle of nowhere. We had 2 barns, and one of them we called the garage because it was closer to the house. The farmhouse itself was a 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom farmhouse that was about 100 years old. As you can imagine, our house was always busy, always filled with commotion and a lot going on. But I was a lot younger than my siblings, so I would watch them graduate high school, grow up, move out. And the closest sibling to me was 5 years older than me. So by the time I was 5, she's 10. And then by the time I'm 10, she's 15. And that's it. She has nothing to do with me anymore. So anyway, I was always relying on myself to keep myself busy. Find something to do, as my mom would say. So I can honestly never remember saying, I'm bored, I don't know what to do, because I always would find something to do. Whether it was out at the creek looking for cool rocks, or whether it was out in the meadow, we called it the back 15, whether it was out in the back 15 picking flowers to dry in the pages of a book, and then I would make them into pictures or art or cards or something to that effect. So I was always doing something. Or I'd be up in the barn playing with our farm animals or playing with my dog, or I would actually take sticks and rocks and all sorts of stuff and make villages. I had these little plastic farm animals, so I would make a farm in the dirt. So I was always busy. I was always creating. And if it was too inclement to be outside, if the weather was bad, I would stay inside and I would make doll clothes. I didn't sew, so I would make doll clothes out of socks or out of the sleeve of an old shirt or out of an old dishcloth. My dolls had a lot of togas and ponchos, but that was the way I created. That was the way I started my journey to what I do today. That's the way I always was thinking, what else can I do? What else can I make? Or I'd look at something and say, what else can that be? What can I do with that? Or if I needed something, I would look around for something else that would work for what I needed. So my My love of creating and crafting started way back when I was about 4 or 5, because at that age, my siblings were all growing up, and they just didn't have time to occupy me. So it was up to me to do that. So whether it was, learning the birds or playing in the creek or drying flowers, that's where my love of crafting and creating came from. It was it was almost a necessity, but it was almost secondhand to or second nature to me. I just never thought, I got to go out and play with sticks again. I always was creating something with them. So that's my crafting journey. That's how I got to where I am today. I am always looking at something and saying, what else can I make that? Behind me, you'll see that wreath was an old blanket. That wreath was a handkerchief. This purse was an old blanket. So I'm always looking at things and saying, well, maybe it's not functional for what it used to be, but what else can I make it? What can it be now? So that was my crafting journey. This next one I got, someone wrote to me, and I'd like to read it to you. As you are well aware, I am a creative thinker, but when it comes to actually creating, well, I leave that to others. If I can buy it at the store, I will not make it. So this was so apparent starting early in my life. I think it was first grade. I wrote a Christmas play. I gave this to my teacher to read. Well, she liked it so much that she decided our class would perform this play for other classes. I was so excited and proud of myself that I offered up my mother's creativity and sewing because she was super skillful. Truly, she was really skilled. I said that she would make the costumes for the play. The problem was, I never told my mother. It wasn't until about 2 days before the play that I told her I had offered her and her skills to make all of the costumes. As you can imagine, that did not go over very well with my mother. However, in 2 days' time, my mom created 8 reindeer costumes plus Rudolph, Santa and Mrs. Claus costumes, and a large sack that gave the impression of being full of Christmas presents. My mom was a rock star when it came to such things. The play was a hit, but never made it to Broadway, although there's still time. My sisters are also very capable seamstresses. Me, however, I attempted gauchos in home ec in junior high. We had to wear the finished product to school. The inner seam tore out halfway through the day, and that's what I get for trying to make it out of neon green. Haven't sat down at a sewing machine since, and there is my crafting journey. That's awesome. It's funny how everybody in the whole family can be crafty and not one person. This is fun because I'm reading these for the first time. Okay, so here's another one. My crafting journey began when I was about 12 years old. My mom always did needlepoint or crochet. My mom had a couple plastic boxes of thread that were neatly organized by number, and that was a sacred item and could not be touched. Even though I wanted to make friendship bracelets with the thread, my mother decided to stop cross-stitching and began crochet. At that point, the bins of thread were finally given to me, and that was amazing. I did many projects for years here and there. During our COVID lockdown, I did the most projects at once. It was a way to ease my mind and distract myself from what was going on in the world. I began researching more websites for more patterns and more projects. I really enjoy it now and look forward to having a project always ready to go. I now have 4 boxes of thread of my own, and I receive many more skeins from family and friends. I really enjoy stitch-alongs, especially when they are a full year project. Usually, a pattern is released each month until the project is finished in its entirety. I hope that someday my daughter will want to take after me as well so I can pass on my thread boxes to her. That's awesome. A great story. Can you imagine a little kid wanting to get her hands on that thread and then all of a sudden one day it's given to you? That's really cool. And that person actually has given me a gift of her crafting. So there is an example of her crafting. So you can see her cross stitch is impeccable, absolutely beautiful. So I am lucky to know this person personally. And I'm pretty sure her daughter will take after her. So the next story, and I have not read this one either. So let's see. My crafting began watching a girl knit in school on the bus in 1974. I got a book that taught a few stitches. My sister learned crochet at the same time, and she was getting more things made faster than I was knitting. Okay, so she got a book on knitting while the others were crocheting. Okay, so she taught me to crochet. I wanted to learn to hand spin at the same time. Wow. I moved to Adams County, Ohio in 1996 and bought my first wheel, a few Jacob sheep, and found a job in the Ohio Valley Natural Fibers. I worked there for 2 years until learning all about natural fibers, alpacas, llamas, mohair goats, camel, silk, and of course, wool. All wool is not scratchy, by the way. There are so many breeds. I ran carding machines, mixing the fibers, blending the fibers into roving for hand spinners. Turned the wool blends into quilting and felting bats. We had a wooden drum that took the wool from the carding machines, fixed it to the drum, turned the drum so many wraps to make the thickness required for the sizes of the bats. I processed my wool into roving for my hand spinning for making hats. I used natural dyes, some Kool-Aid colors. I sold a lot of hats, both knitted and crocheted. I set up at craft shows, sometimes demonstrating spinning on a wheel, drop spindle, and soap making. My favorite soap is lavender, mine too, and oatmeal. Number one seller of most of my crafts were dish towel toppers, animal or veggie pot holder, and Christmas items. I made a vest out of alpaca, entered it in the fair, but back then in 2000, there weren't categories for natural fibers. It was so beautiful, it was given the blue ribbon. Yay. I learned weaving on a triangle look, made a shawl from my hand spun, learned rug making from strips of fabric, and this is the best of my crafting journey. It all got put on hold due to life. And now, thanks to watching beekeeping videos and a Bag-O-Day is a channel for crafting and for crochet and yarn. She kept popping up. I guess that Bag-O-Day starts with bee, and I was looking for bee videos. She led me to you, meaning me, and other YouTubers such as yourself. I never knew there were so many beautiful stitches. Plus, Coffee with Kim and your smiles and bubbly personality has gotten me up again. I never sold any of my equipment, and I hope I haven't bored you, but that's in a nutshell. Happy crafting to you. That, in case you're new to my channel, I do Coffee with Kim every day. I upload it. I try to get it by morning. So every day, my subscribers and I sit and share a cup of coffee to start the day. And that's what she was referring to here, Coffee with Kim. This is an example of her knitting. She made me a scarf. And here is the last one I have for now. And I have not read this one either. At 5 years old, my mom taught me to braid on a string mop. At 6, she taught me to embroider. I did that for a long time, and it was popular in the 70s to patch and embroider jeans. Yep. So I did that a lot. In ninth grade, 1972, we had a progressive arts class that taught weaving. So I learned to use an inkle loom and made a few belts. About that same time, I taught myself to macrame, and I did that for a few years. In the early 80s, at about 23 years old, I took up plastic canvas and I learned, hold on, I'm sorry, I lost my place. I took up plastic canvas and learned to read the graphs and those leaflets. In the late 80s, I had a friend who taught me to crochet, and I found that very satisfying. In the early 90s, I took a silversmithing class, and I loved that a lot, but had to give that up in the 2000s because of my eyesight. It was giving me a hard time seeing the tiny bits of solder through the torch flame. I still restring necklaces and use my jewelry pliers to make simple repairs. I used the inkle loom about that same time to do Indian beadwork, but also had to give that up because of my vision. I went to the Denver Indian Center and donated all of my beading supplies to them. I got bad cataracts that made me blind 3 years ago, and I had to wait to craft until I could get my surgery. I regained the gift of sight 2 years ago at the age of 65 and discovered crystal at Bagoday a couple years later. And that is how I found you. Here we are. I hope I didn't bore you with my crafting history. So let me just tell you, this person has also given me a gift. And I, again, am lucky enough that they send me things in the Happy Mail that are absolutely beautiful. If you like the idea of all things crafting and starting with something you know and branching out to other things that you don't know and finding out if you do love them, stick around, subscribe, join. You'll see I actually tried, inspired by her, that I tried and I made an Easter basket for my grandson. So we try new things together. We laugh together. We have coffee together. And I hope you'll join us. So I'm Kim. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, a subscribe, a share. Leave me a comment. I will also put my email address in the information of the video. Please email me your crafting journey. Put crafting journey in the title so I can pick it out. I get a lot of emails. So yeah, please join me. Come on our crafting journey with us, and remember to always be creative. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.